I'm Cookie Miller, and this is Worth the Wait. Join me every week as I explore profound weight loss solutions beyond just diet and exercise, because a lifestyle change starts with changing your mind. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. This week we are talking all things motivation, right? This is something that everyone is constantly seeking and then trying to figure out how other people have it. Like, how are you so motivated, right? And I totally get that. So I wanted to be sure to bring this episode to you guys since it's one of the most commonly asked questions. And if you just happen to stumble across this podcast and you're like, what is this girl talking about? My name is Cookie Miller. I have lost 100 pounds. And I've been in the fitness industry and space for the past 7 years or so. And I've also kept my weight off, for that amount of time. And so now I come on here on this podcast. I also have a YouTube channel and I chat with you guys and give you guys tips and tricks and things to help you really get to the point where you can also lose that substantial amount of weight. Or if you're one of my friends who have already lost that kind of weight and you're just looking to figure out how do you get in this maintenance phase where you're, here for nearly a decade, like I have been, then that's what this podcast is about as a whole. And that's definitely what this episode is about. So if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, I hope that you will head over to my page, which is just at Cookie Miller. And you can also follow the podcast at Worth the Wait Podcast on Instagram. But I bring that up not as a plug, but because this episode is really based on a post that I did over on Instagram. And I'm going to read that post to you guys, okay, in case you haven't seen it. So the post says, I haven't sought motivation since losing pound 1 of 100. That was 8 years ago. The caption says, motivation is irrelevant when you're in alignment. When you want to be motivated, you seek external stimulation. Your favorite fitness competitor posting their physique, that song that gets you lit, revenge, showing that ex what they're missing, all of which could give you a quick boost, sure. But when you seek and become in alignment, everything that you need for sustained results, discipline, energy, discernment, will seek you. Now, this post, in terms of recent posts that I've made, it didn't do so well. It didn't get a lot of likes. It didn't get a lot of engagement. And when that happens, I get so disappointed. And not because I'm a numbers person, because I'm not. I'm so disconnected from the numbers at this point. But because I realize there are so many people that just really don't get it. Right? And I think that if you're here and you chose to listen to this podcast, especially if you have already followed me on other platforms and now you've decided to check out the podcast, that seems to me like the perfect audience to really break this down to, where maybe you guys will be a little more accepting and open than the people who perhaps this didn't resonate with on Instagram. And the reason I really wanted to delve deeper into this, even though there wasn't as much engagement as I would have hoped for, is because in reflecting on the post. So I had someone ask, how do I feel about, how the post did? And do I feel like maybe I'm not, saying something that is easily something that would resonate with people? And I thought about that and I was like, well, it really made me think, yes, this is not the type of post that would really, get a ton of likes. It's like, if you want that, I'd have to post a before and after picture or typical things that kind of get more engagement. But this is true. And it is truth. And even in reflecting in that moment, I sat in it and really thought about it. And was like, well, maybe I am doing too much, right? Is it just me? Am I just doing the most? Am I doing my crazy cookie stuff, right? But it's no, that's actually what happened. And so many people ask me the question, how do you stay motivated all these years later? Y'all, if I were still relying on motivation right now, I would not be where I am. I wouldn't have been able to lose this weight, first of all, and to keep it off for the past 8 years if I'd only relied on motivation. Okay. So I went and I looked up just to be sure, like what my understanding of motivation was. And motivation is the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. So that's what you think about when you think of motivation. Alignment, on the other hand, is holistic. It's internal. It is when your mind, body, and soul come together to reach the intended goal. Alignment cannot come from an outside source, right? Now, this is how I want you guys to think about this. Becoming motivated would require you to, for example, watch something that motivates you, like a video. Like maybe you go check out my YouTube channel and you're like, oh, I need Cookie to motivate me. Like you're rolling through the videos trying to find something, or even listening to this podcast, right? It's about motivation, and you're like, oh, well, let me go see how, what she's going to say that's going to get me so pumped up and riled up to go, right? You're seeking that motivation now. And then also, like scrolling on Instagram. I used to do this like big time. Back when I did it, it was more so on YouTube, and that's just because of the times. Instagram was new. But definitely scrolling fitness hashtags and things like that are something that you would do if you're trying to become motivated. Now, becoming aligned is going to require some depth. So there's not going to be anything that you can do in that way, right? Anything that you can do in a way that is just your general desire or willingness to do something, which is the definition of motivation. There's nothing that you can do along those same lines in regards to alignment. So becoming aligned may require you to go to therapy, for example. I know some of y'all are like, wait, what? But if you're following me, then you understand what I'm saying. So it may require you to go to therapy. I have so many women that I've worked with over the years where I've said, hey, I cannot work with you anymore. Like, I need you to go and see a therapist. There are some things that you need to really, really work through. And that was something that I personally had to do as well. If you heard last week's episode about It's Not That Deep, I talk a little bit more about that. So definitely go and check that one out. But that is something that becoming aligned would require you to do. So becoming aligned is going to require you to have depth. And then it's also going to require you to do something like go to therapy and really get down to the bottom of those internal issues that you have that may be stopping you from healing. And by healing, I mean healing your relationship with food, healing your relationship with exercise, healing your relationship just with yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. Because you may have, like me, for example, trauma from childhood that you need to deal with before you can even break through that barrier. And like I said, I've had clients where I've had to do that. And I've had to say, I love being your coach, but we got to wait on this because I can tell that you really need to go and see someone about the things that are going on with you. Okay, so that's an example of that. Another example of becoming in alignment is getting quiet with yourself, sitting down, writing everything out, writing out your thoughts. How did I get here? Right? Really pinpointing and figuring that out, and not in a way where you're beating yourself up like, oh my gosh, I just keep eating. I just can't stop. Hey, it's always deeper than that. That's why I say in the intro of this podcast that it's more than just diet and exercise. Diet and exercise are almost like the last thing. The last piece of the puzzle, right? Because even if you have the most beautiful, well-written, workout plan, and you have the most amazing meal plan, none of it means anything at all if you cannot mentally get yourself to the place where you follow through with those things. And in order for you to be able to follow through, you have to break through the things that are currently holding you back. So, another example for becoming aligned could be finding a coach or a guide who can actually push you through the process. And in this instance, I'm not talking about, no offense to the in-person trainers. I know they're very busy. They work super hard. They probably got back-to-back clients. Been there, done that. But I'm talking about finding a coach who is a holistic coach, and that they focus on mindset, and they focus on food, and they focus on your workouts. Because when you're able to find someone like that, you're able to work through your process while you're also working through your process, right? While you're also doing your workouts and all those types of things. Versus, like, let's say if you're just someone who is motivated, when you're seeking out motivation, you're generally someone who's going to seek out like a plan. Like, oh, well, let me just go and buy this 30-day plan thing. Have you ever done that? I know I have. When I was seeking motivation, I was buying so much stuff. I was buying plans, and I was buying quick weight loss center, whatever the heck they had me on, some craziness. I'll talk about that one day. I was doing things that were really fast because I was reliant on the motivation. The motivation was all I had. So if I could have, quick weight loss centers and go and do this new thing, and it gives me a little bit of motivation that pushes me through to be able to do it for 30 days, then that's great for that. But then when that's over, I'm going to need to go and get more motivation. So it's really like motivation is this drug where you're never satisfied. Like, you have to go and get more. So then people keep asking, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay motivated? I mean, I just cannot imagine if I'd had to somehow rely on motivation only to get to losing 100 pounds, keeping it off for all this time. It would be nearly impossible. But when you are able to truly be in alignment, that is the key. When you're able to align your actions and really your whole being, but I won't get that deep, with your goal, everything starts to fall in place. Everything starts to fall in place. Your actions start to match the goals that you want, right? You start to do the things that make more sense and go along with your goal, versus if you're someone who is constantly seeking motivation, if you're not motivated in that moment, then you tend to quit, or you tend to slip, or you tend to fall off. It's not that you don't have those moments when you're in alignment. You can still kind of be misaligned, but I'm talking about when I look back on the last 8 years overall, not the 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 50 days, where I felt completely out of it, but just the overall theme of those 8 years has been that in year 1, truly, in year 1, I found out that, okay, I cannot rely on motivation. And I know that it's not sexy, it's not cute, it's not even necessarily shareable, because I mean, who the heck wants to share that motivation essentially doesn't work, with someone? Not me. But it is the truth. So I hope that if you're someone who listened to this episode and you were seeking motivation, I hope that you will know that when you seek motivation, it's short term. And if you're someone who wants to not only get to your weight loss goal, but you want to maintain it, you're going to need something way deeper than motivation to do that. And to me, that is being in alignment. So that's it for this week's episode, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Please do follow our podcast page at Worth the Wait Podcast on Instagram. You can also take a little screenshot if you're listening like on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever you're listening, and tag me on Instagram, post it in your story or something. I will 100% repost you. Let me know if anything resonated with you guys. And I'll see y'all. Oh my gosh, I did it again. Y'all know I'm YouTube through and through. I will talk to you guys on next week's episode. Bye.